Hi everyone, my name is Pianpian. I'm the founder and CEO of Amotions. Amotions is a platform to help you and your team improve effectiveness, relationships, and retain and develop your talent. And we help you master soft skills such as emotional intelligence, leadership skills, and interpersonal skills. Today, we are very happy to have Michael Ogdulo here. Michael was a former managing director at Morgan Stanley, and he has a bachelor degree in applied psychology. He has been dedicating his efforts to help organizations and teams, especially their early career employees, to learn soft skills, leadership skills, and emotional intelligence. Michael, we're very happy to be here. Thank you.
And I'm very happy to be here too, Pianpian. It's a real pleasure. And just to elaborate on what you said, my first degree is in analytical psychology, and then I followed that up with a master's degree in complex systems. So I've always had an interest sort of in this area of humans and human-computer interactions, etc. Career. You don't get to spend 15 years as a managing director in a big corporate without encountering lots of situations with career, and hopefully, you know, if you're observing and listening, you'll come up with some help and some hints and some good ideas in terms of how to make things happen.
That's great. Yeah, that's wonderful. We're curious to hear your insights on a few topics. The first one is you have worked at very big organizations, and you assume that you have experience like changes in management or strategy. We're curious, how would you suggest a leader to handle changes in their organizations, and in the meantime still being able to drive results, deliver innovation, and help their teams?
Yeah, I guess there are three things that I think about there as sort of thematic. The first one is attracting the right people, right? Very easy in a way to hire people. It's difficult to hire the right people. So I would say, understand what your requirements are. Hire the people who are best. Not necessarily, it's not always the smartest people. It's not always the best qualified people, but it's people who match the thing that you're trying to change. Mm-hmm. So, for example, it's a cultural change you're trying to achieve, then, you know, how is someone who's an engineering expert in one particular discipline, how are they going to help you with a broad cultural change? So you hire people there who understand the workplace, understand the different, you know, diverse populations in the workplace, and can make them work together. That's a different kind of hire. So it's very important, I think, that you attract the people that you need for the change that you're trying to accomplish. If it is indeed a engineering type change or a new technology that you're changing, then obviously you will try and hire at least a proportion of the new staff with an engineering expertise. Mm-hmm. For example, artificial intelligence. You know, you're not going to want to hire a generalist for that. You're going to hire a specialist. Retention, really important. There's no point in hiring a whole bunch of people, mm-hmm. people that you have are walking out the door. Right. And I have been doing a little bit of homebrew research on what they call the big resignation. That, you know, a lot of people seem to be leaving their jobs. Right. It's been going on since 2019, but it's really taken off now. And if you look at the numbers, you know, in the United States, for example, last November, you know, it's something like, you know, 4.5% of the entire working population has resigned. Now, you would imagine that those people will be looking for new jobs pretty quickly because people need money to live. But you know, again, I've done some homebrew research, and it looks like there's a lot of roles out there that that are not attracting people. I've seen lots of good jobs sitting out there with big recruiters for 1 month with no applicants, and I don't mean one or two. I mean like a lot. So there's that. You know, that's why retention is one of the reasons that retention is really key. The other reasons is that if you've got lots of people leaving, they're going to leave expertise. The expertise is going to leave with them, and you're potentially going to have single points of failure in your organization. So when people leave, they take their expertise with them. I mean, regardless of how much documentation there is and how many systems there are, a lot of the value that you bring to a firm that you work with is in your head. Understanding the organization, understanding the culture, all this sort of stuff. That's all in your head. And then the third point is motivating. So how do you motivate the staff that you have to do the best that they can possibly do in the organization? And, I think that changes subtly over time. I think when I joined the workforce, there were two big things that motivated people. I mean, you're like way out there. The two things that you really cared about was reward and recognition. Mm-hmm. So how much do I get paid? That's one metric. And then the second metric is how much am I appreciated in the workplace, and how much do people really recognize the value of what I do? They were the two primary metrics. Now I think there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Do I work with a diverse workforce? Do I work in a firm that cares about my well-being? Do I get benefits that are relevant to me? I don't want necessarily tax-free XYZ. I want a caring environment. Am I allowed to bring my pet to work? All these things that are maybe a little bit less tangible than simply reward and recognition are becoming important now. And especially I think in this big resignation sort of environment, it's sometimes the subtle little things that are important to people and that need to get recognized.
That's true. And you touch upon retention. That's a key area that a lot of companies are looking to address. What are the best ways to retain talents based on what you observe and your experience?
Yeah, I would say two big ones. The first is recognizing who your best people are. The people that you absolutely do not want to leave your firm are your best people. So for that, I would recommend that you prioritize your top talent. So if there's, money to go around, if there's status to go around, if there's promotion to go around, make sure you're pointing that at your top talent. There's really no point you're wasting those resources if you're pointing them at your medium to low talent. Mm-hmm. There's a whole question about whether you should even have medium to low talent, but let's put that aside for a minute. Assuming that every employer has got the population somewhere in a bell curve. So obviously in a bell curve, you can't have everybody who's 2 standard deviations above the mean. So that's the first thing, is make sure that your resources are getting pointed at your top talent. And then the second is to treat people as individuals. So to understand people at a deeper level than, John is a 1.1.5 in somewhere in the hierarchy, and that means that he gets these benefits and the person who's sitting beside him doesn't, right? That may be a good heuristic, a good way to simplify a relationship, but really you want to know what John is all about. And sometimes the equivalent of John or Jane is interested in a big technical challenge. That's what they're all about. They really care about the technical challenge. The rest of it's nice to have. Some people really care most about what's going on in the workplace, but what goes on in their family life or their personal life.
Right.
How do you make sure for those individuals, how do you make sure they're getting what they need? Some people work for, some people work for a hobby. Some people work for something that's maybe not their family, but it's outside of work and really important to them. So I think it's really important in order to retain people that you understand them at a deeper level than what's their role, what's their official designation within the hierarchy, for example. to
Mhm.
understand them as people.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point in terms of understanding people, and connect in a personal level that touch upon, I think, empathy and being caring and about the people that they work with. Um, in in the theme of motivating talent and retaining talent and attracting the right talent, I think one of the leaders' job is to provide feedback, both positive and constructive or developmental feedback, so someone can continue to develop. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how would you suggest someone to be good to become good at giving developmental feedback besides positive feedback, so that their team can continue to grow and develop.